Hello. In this video, we'll be talking about small business relief. Uh, this is article number 21 under corporate tax regime. So let's see what small business relief talks about. I have made a detailed information about small business relief. I've got different slides. I've got many examples where you all can easily understand what exactly the treatment of small business relief is. So let's move on to the slides and let's see what small business relief is all about. What is small business relief? Small business relief is provided to eligible UAE businesses and reduces their corporate tax burden and compliance cost in the corporate tax regime, primarily by elevating the burden of having to calculate and pay corporate tax in each relevant tax period where the condition is satisfied. So basically, the small business relief is granted for those businesses whose revenue uh, will not go beyond 3 million a year. So any businesses whose revenue is less than 3 million, they are eligible for small business relief. Now, again, there are certain terms and conditions when you elect for small business relief. We will be speaking about those terms and conditions in this video, but let's see what the slide talks about. Eligible taxable persons being a resident taxable person, either a national person or a juridical person. Now, the small business relief is available for a juridical person. Now, as I have mentioned in my earlier videos, juridical person is nothing but companies in the UAE, and also it is available for national person. Now, this small business relief is not available for non-resident taxable person. Okay, so it is only available for natural person and juridical person. Okay, now what are the benefits a business will get if it's being elected for a small business relief? One thing is administration relief. Second thing is tax relief. Now, administration relief, obviously, what happens is you won't be required to file for a full tax. It will be in a very simple format. The only thing is you'll have to prove your revenues in the sense like it has not gone beyond 3 million. Again, under small business relief, you don't have to maintain any accrual basis of accounting. In the sense, it is optional. You can also have a cash basis of accounting. It is also not required for you to prepare audited financial statements. So at the time of filing, you just need to file a simple tax return. Now, as you all know that this year in 2024, we are in 2024. The year where the companies are with registering for corporate tax. Now, again, even if you think your business is not going beyond 3 million in this taxable year, okay, you still have to go and register for yourself, your company, yourself for corporate tax. Though your filing may be a simple filing arrangement, doesn't mean that you are also exempted from registering for corporate tax. You still have to register for corporate tax. And once the FDA approves you to be a small business relief, you end up paying 0%, in the sense zero tax. Now, the second thing is tax relief. Obviously, once you have elected for small business relief and once the FDA approves, you are not required to pay any corporate tax on income on the tax period. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Now, what is the eligibility criteria? Now, as I've told you, the eligibility criteria is that there is a threshold. The threshold is a revenue below or equal to 3 million. Okay, so if your business have achieved a revenue equal to or below 3 million, then you are eligible to elect small business relief. But if your business has gone beyond the threshold, has gone beyond 3 million, then obviously there's no point electing for small business relief. Okay, so any eligible taxable person being a resident taxable person, whether a natural person or juridical person with revenue equal to or below 3 million in a relevant tax period and all previous tax periods. Now, this is very important. All previous tax periods. Now, for example, in 2024, your revenue was 2.5 million and you have elected for small business relief and FTA approves it. Now in 2025, you have reached 4 million. Now, if you are trying to apply for small business relief, FTA will not approve this. Why? Because you went beyond the threshold. You have the threshold level is 3 million. Okay, but you've gone beyond the 3 million. Again, in 2026, you have achieved 3 million exactly, and you're trying to apply another small business relief. Now, again, in this case, FTA will reject. Why? Because you have already breached the threshold of 3 million in your previous year. So regardless if you are within the threshold in the subsequent year, you will still not be eligible to elect for small business relief because you have already achieved more than 3 million in your previous taxable years. So make sure that to note this point, if at all you have within the threshold in the subsequent years, but in previous taxable years you have you have gone beyond the threshold, then that will not allow you to elect for small business relief. Let's see an overview of small business relief. What happens if you elect for small business relief, and what happens if you do not elect for small business relief? So one by one, let's see. Point number one, required to register for corporate tax? Yes. It's not so basically, even if you have elected for small business relief or not, okay, either way are uh, you are required to register for corporate tax. So yes. Point number two, required to file a full tax returns. When are you required to file a full tax return? Only when you have not elected for small business relief. But if you have elected for small business relief, okay, it is a very simple format. In 2025, at the time of filing, you will come to know what that simple format is. Point number three, can file a simplified tax return. So as I've told you, yes, when you have elected for small business relief, the file return is a very it will be a very in a simplified manner. But if you're not elected for small business relief, then obviously it won't be a very simple format. Point number four, required to calculate taxable income. Under election, no. But if you're not elected, yes. Point number five, no corporate tax to pay. It is only possible if you have elected for small business relief, and if FDI approves, then at that time there's no corporate tax to be paid. But again, if you're not elected for small business relief, it depends upon the taxable income. As I've mentioned in the earlier videos, the first 375,000 you will be taxed at 0%, and above that, whatever taxable income you have earned, it will be charged at 9%. And now these are some I would say these are some benefits, these are some reliefs over here, which we will be speaking in our upcoming videos, in our upcoming articles. Just for now, I will just summarize what exactly these are in a very short way. But again, these will be taught in a very detailed way in our upcoming videos and upcoming articles. So there's something called as tax losses. Okay, what happens if you have incurred a tax loss in a current taxable period? You can always carry it forward. But what happens if you have not, if you have elected for small business leave? At that time, you cannot carry a tax loss. So no, yes, if you have not elected for small business leave. There is also something called as interest expenditure. Okay. And there is a rule of 30% EBITDA. So this is something we'll be talking about in our upcoming article. So for now, just remember, if you've elected for small business relief, then this benefit is not applicable. This benefit is only applicable if you've not elected for small business relief. Likewise, carry forward tax losses and excess interest expenditure from previous tax period. That is possible if you have elected for small business relief. Yes, also if you have not elected for small business relief. There's something called qualifying group. Again, it's a different article. We'll be speaking about in our upcoming videos. Okay, the benefit of qualifying group is not available if you have elected for small business relief, but yes, if you have not elected for small business relief. Again, transfer pricing documentation, it's a big lesson. But for now, just remember, transfer pricing documentation is not required if you have elected for small business relief. Yes, if you have not elected for small business relief. Arm's length principle is required both if you have made election, if you're not made election. Let's move to the next slide. Is it available for both resident and non-residents? As I've told you earlier, it is only available for juridical person and natural person. It is not available for non-resident taxable person. Let's see an example. Mr. X operates a business in Abu Dhabi. He is a resident person for corporate tax purposes. His tax period ends on 31st December each year. To date, Mr. X revenue has never exceeded the small business relief threshold of 83 million per tax period in any tax period. So, when you're talking about his previous tax periods, he has never exceeded the threshold of 3 million. Now, in the most recent tax period ending 31st December 2025, Mr. X derived a revenue of 2 million. Okay. So immediately you can come to a conclusion that Mr. X is eligible to apply for small business relief. Mr. X is eligible to benefit from small business relief as his revenue for the 31st December 2025 tax period does not exceed 3 million, which is also the case for the previous year's tax periods. In order to benefit from the relief, he must make an election in his tax return. Now, remember, um, it doesn't matter if your revenue does not exceed the threshold of 3 million. Okay, it is not that FTA automatically identifies you as a small business relief. At the time of tax filing, there is something called as election. So you need to elect your business with the FTA stating that your revenue has not exceeded 3 million in the current tax period, neither in your previous tax period. So that means you are eligible for small business relief. So you have to go and manually elect yourself, and the FTA will review all of your revenues, all of your bank statements, all of your financial statements, and afterwards they will approve it. So remember, it is not automatic. Okay, it is an election which is required from your side. Mr. X will be treated having no taxable income for the 31st December 2025 tax period. This means that he will not have to calculate this taxable income and will have no corporate tax liability in tax period. Let's move to the next slide. I've got another example. Company L is incorporated in Sharjah and earns revenue of 82.5 million in tax period 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024 and would like to claim small business relief. Okay, is it possible? At this point of time, yes, it is possible because they have not exceeded the threshold of 3 million. They are under 3 million, which is 2.5 million. Even though the company's L's revenue for tax period remains under 3 million, meeting the conditions to be eligible for small business leave does not affect the corporate tax compliance obligation that company L has a resident person. Therefore, the company L will be required to register for corporate tax. So, as I told you earlier, even it doesn't matter if you are not uh, uh, if you're within the threshold. Okay, if you think that you are eligible for small business relief, and if you think that you because you are a small business and you end up paying no tax, uh, it 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 doesn't mean that you are exempted from registering for corporate tax. No, you still have to go and register your company as a Sorry, I think there was some silent. Okay. You still have to go and register for corporate tax. Let's move to the next slide. I've got another example. ABC Limited is a USA incorporated company that has an office in Dubai. Okay, now again, remember this USA incorporated company. So that means what? Non-resident taxable person. Okay. So what did I say earlier? Small business relief is only available for natural person and juridical person. It is not available for non-resident taxable person. So that means this example sets that this is not available for USE incorporated company for ABC Limited. It is not possible to have small business. But anyway, let's see what example talks about. ABC Limited is a USA incorporated company that has an office in Dubai, from which it assists its UAE-based clients. ABC Limited is a non-resident person for corporate tax purposes. In most recent tax period ending 31st December 2024, ABC Limited derived a revenue of 2.5 million, with 81 million of this revenue attributable to its office in Dubai. Okay. Now, again, if you see this 2.5 million, okay, immediately you can think about small business relief, but are they eligible? No, because they are USA incorporated company, a non-residential taxable person. Now, again, there's another twist. Out of this 2.5 million, 81 million of this revenue belongs to the office in Dubai. Are they still eligible? No. Now, this 2.5 million is something ABC Limited, a USA incorporated company, has made. So regardless of money they make in Dubai or not, okay, they are not eligible for small business relief. So ABC Limited is not eligible for small business relief as it is a non-resident person, regardless of its revenue or having an office in Dubai. Let's move the next slide. There's another example. Miss Y. Okay, so when I say Miss Y, national person, operates a business in Sharjah. She is a resident person for corporate tax purposes. Her tax period ends on 31st December each year. In the most recent tax period ending 31st December 2026, Ms. X derived revenue of 1.9 million. In the previous tax period ending 2025, she had a revenue of 4.3 million. Okay. Now, if you remember, we had discussed that if any of the previous tax years, if the threshold has been exceeded, okay, so that means never ever the small business will be available in subsequent years if somebody's revenue is within threshold. So in this case, Miss Y will not be eligible for small business relief. Why? Because in a previous tax year, she had exceeded the threshold of 3 million. So Ms. Y is not eligible to benefit from small business relief for the tax period ending 31st December 2026, as her revenue has exceeded the threshold of 3 million in her prior tax period. Let's move to the next slide. Now, can you do an artificial separation just to get this benefit of small business relief? No, you can't do it. If the FTA comes to know, then probably you'll be fined or you'll end up paying all of those liabilities in the previous years where you have done the artificial separation. So small business relief will also not be available where a person artificially separates their businesses into more than one entity in order to ensure that the revenue of each entity is below the threshold for small business relief, where the FTA establishes that artificial separation taken place, the person will have to repay any unpaid penalties that may be. Next slide. Is this relief optional? Yes, of course, this is optional. Uh, a time, even if you're within the threshold, you may end up not electing yourself a small business lead because there are certain benefits where you will have to let loose when you are electing for small business relief. So small business relief is an optional relief, and resident persons that wish to benefit from the advantage must elect for this relief within their tax returns. Once a tax return for the relevant tax period has been submitted with no election to benefit from small business leave, there would be no possibility to claim this benefit at a later stage. So just in case if you're not elected as small business leave and you've ended up paying some corporate tax, and afterwards you realize that, oh no, we could have elected to a small business leave, and if at all you're trying to go to FTA and claim the amount back at that point of time, that's not possible. So make sure that you at the time of filing you elect for small business leave properly, as the election must be made in a tax return. An eligible taxable person seeking to claim small business leave will first need to register with the FTA for corporate tax and opt in a TRN number in order to able to make the election. Okay, obviously you need to get your own TRN number, and in uh, uh, this is possible uh, while when you register for corporate tax through the FTA portal. Additionally, they will need to keep information to demonstrate the eligibility of the relief. This includes record of the revenue. When you're trying to businessly, there are where you need to prove, you need to submit the FTA saying that uh, you're within the threshold. So probably submit the bank statements or your financial statements, etc. So let's see what are the requirements in the next slide. Yeah. So let's see what exactly this revenue calculation is. Now, for most of the companies or for most of the people, what we believe revenue is sales. Now, under corporate tax, revenue is just not sales, but also the other incomes. So probably dividends, if you have received dividends, that is also a revenue. If you have received interest, that is also a revenue. If you have sold some equipment, that is also a revenue. So if you have sold a part of your business, that is also a revenue. Now, ABC LLC is a UA resident person. During its most recent tax period, ABC LLC made sales of 1.2 of dividend. We had operating expense of 2 million and a purpose of accessing whether the ABC LLC business threshold of 3 million. Okay. I've got another example here. Let's see. Mr. X is a resident person for corporate tax purposes. He has conducted a business for many years and his revenue has never exceeded 3 million. Okay, so in his previous tax years, his revenue was always within the threshold of 3 million. In the period ending guys for the interruption. So it's very for small business relief because in his previous tax years, okay, he is within the threshold, and he. Now, what happens in 2025 during the tax period ending 31st December 2025? Mr. X agreed to sell his shop to a friend for 81.2 million. Now, Mr. X revenue for the tax period, including the proceeds from the sale of shop, total 4.4 million 150,000. Now, here there's a problem.